Check, check, check. Looks like the mic's good. Let's get it.
As well as we're talking about the Attorney General's office. And so I'll have plenty of time to ask the questions I know you desperately want to ask about everything from the 25th Amendment on, but I'm not going to speak to that today. I want this to be the issue that we focus on because I think it's so important. Yesterday, in my view, one of the darkest days in the history of our nation. An unprecedented assault on our democracy. An assault literally on the citadel of liberty in the United States Capitol itself. An assault on the rule of law. An assault on the most sacred of American undertakings, ratifying the will of the people in choosing the leadership of their government. All of us here grieve the loss of life, grieve the desecration of the people's house. But what we witnessed yesterday was not dissent, it was not disorder, it was not protest, it was chaos. They weren't protesters. Don't dare call them protesters. They were a riotous mob, insurrectionists, domestic terrorists. It's that basic, it's that simple. And I wish we could say we couldn't see it coming. But that isn't true. We could see it coming.
Shit.
The past 4 years, we've had a president who's made his contempt for our democracy, our Constitution, the rule of law, clear in everything he has done. He unleashed an all-out assault on our institutions of our democracy from the outset. And yesterday was but the culmination of that unrelenting attack. He's attacked the free press, who dared to question his power, repeatedly calling the free press the enemy of the people.
Not a good look. Not a good look.
And others said, has long been used by autocrats and dictators all over the world to hold on to power, the enemy of the people. Language that is being used now by autocrats and dictators across the world, only this time with the imperator of an outgoing president of the United States of America.
For Trump, whose entire brand was based on aesthetics, it's really impressive how fucking poorly he biffed shit by calling enemy the people, or the media the enemy of the people and shit like that. That is so bad. That looks terrible. I feel like it's literally in like some kind of authoritarian manifesto. Wild.
Many of whom had risked their lives in the service of this nation. He deployed the United States military, tear gassing peaceful protesters in pursuit of a photo opportunity in the service of his reelection, even holding the Bible upside down. The
This is right.
that led to an apology from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and an outspoken denunciation of the use of military for domestic political purposes from scores of former military leaders and secretaries of defense, led by Secretary Cheney. He thought he could stack the courts with friendly judges who would support him no matter what. They were Trump judges, his judges. He went so far as to say he needed 9 justices on the Supreme Court because he thought the election would end up in the Supreme Court and they would hand him the election. He was stunned, truly stunned, when the judges he appointed didn't do his bidding, instead acted with integrity, following the Constitution, upholding the rule of law, not just once or twice or 3 times, but over 60 times. Let me say it, over 60 times. In more than 60 cases, in state after state after state. And then at the Supreme Court, as judges, including people considered, quote, his judges, Trump judges, use his words, looked at the allegations that Trump was making and determined they were without any merit. Nothing was judged to put this election in question or doubt by any of these judges. You want to understand the importance of democratic institutions in this country? Take a look at the judiciary in this nation. Take a look at the pressure it was just subjected to by a sitting president of the United States of America. At every level, the judiciary rose to the moment during this election, did its job, acted with complete fairness and impartiality, with complete honor and integrity. When history looks back in this moment that we've just passed through, I believe it will say our democracy survived in no
Fuck it, let's just hit the run.
because of the men and women who represent an independent judiciary in this nation. We owe them a deep debt of gratitude.
Was it gun time?
And then there's the attack on the Department of Justice. Treating the Attorney General as his personal lawyer in the Department
Fucking gun time.
law firm.
All right, let's give the gun a whirl.
We would hear the same thing from this president. My generals, my judges,
Reload.
my attorney generals.
Oh, you're
then
fucking
yesterday,
kidding.
A culmination of an attack on our
This is neat.
institutions of democracy. This time, the Congress itself, inciting a mob to attack the Capitol, to threaten elected representatives of the people of this nation,
To
and even the
reload.
vice
Oh, it
president,
auto reloads.
to stop the Congress from ratifying the will of the American people in a just completed free and fair election. Trying to use a mob to silence the voices of nearly 160 million Americans who summoned the courage in the face of a pandemic that threatened their health and their lives to cast that sacred ballot. I made it clear from the moment I entered this race that what I believe was at stake. I said there was nothing less at stake than who we are as a nation, what we stand for, what we believe, what we will be. At the center of that belief is one of the oldest principles this nation has long held. We are a government of laws, not of men, not of the
Doesn't seem
people.
good.
Of laws. I said it many times in the campaign. Our democratic institutions are not relics of another age. They're what sets this nation apart. They're the guardrails of our democracy. And there's no president. That's why there is no president who is a king. No Congress that's a House of Lords. A judiciary doesn't serve the will of the president or exist to protect him or her. We have three co-equal branches of government. Co-equal. Our president is not above the law. Justice serves the people. It doesn't protect the powerful. Justice is blind. What we saw yesterday in plain view was another violation of the fundamental tenet of this nation. Not only did we see the failure to protect one of the three branches of our government, we also saw a clear failure to carry out equal justice. If you used to say in the Senate, excuse a point of personal privilege. A little over an hour and a half after the chaos started, I got a text from my granddaughter, Finnegan Biden, who's a senior in her last semester.
Finnegan?
University of Pennsylvania.
Yikes.
She sent me a photo of military people in full military gear. Scores of them lining the steps of the Lincoln Memorial because of protests by Black Lives Matter. She said, Pop,
This is so bad.
fair. No one can tell me
Oh, nice.
had been a group of Black Lives Matter protesting yesterday, they wouldn't have been treated very, very differently than the mob of thugs that stormed the Capitol.
Hearing all these people use thugs to not refer to black people makes me think thugs doesn't mean black people anymore.
Totally unacceptable.
Hit that fucking podium, dude.
People saw it in plain view. And I hope it sensitized them to what we have to do. Not many people know it.
This is horrible.
Justice Garland and I were talking. We talked about, I think he raised it, the reason for
What the hell is this
Justice Department
room?
formed in the first place. It was
Oh.
back in 1870. We didn't have a Justice Department before that, Cabinet.
God, I have to reload.
It was formed in 1870 to enforce the Civil Rights Amendment that grew out of the Civil War. 13th, 14th, and 15th
Reload
Amendment.
is fucking me up so bad.
To stand up to the Klan, to stand up to racism, to take on domestic terrorism.
Cops in Poseidon.
This original spirit must
think.
again guide and animate its work. So as we stand here today, we do so in the wake of yesterday's events. Events that could not
My God.
have vividly demonstrated some of the most important work we have to do in this nation.
What?
Committing ourselves to the rule of law in this nation. Invigorating our domestic and democratic institutions.
No like. Me no like you at all. Why the fuck does this cost 8 keys?
Law in America.
This is terrible.
There's no more important place for us to do this work than the Department of Justice. It has been so politicized. There's no more important people to carry out this work than the people I'm announcing today. More than anything, we need to restore the honor, the integrity, the independence of the Department of Justice in this nation. This
The only one that actually matters.
badly damaged. And so many former leaders of that department in both parties have so testified and stated that. I want to be clear to those who lead this department who you will serve. You won't work for me. You are not the president or the vice president's lawyer. Your loyalty is not to me. It's to the law, the Constitution,
Okay, so maybe I don't need to reload it.
people
Fuck.
of this nation, to guarantee justice.
It's crazy that Biden has to say these things like these are like big deals. Like
Attorney
this is
General
the status quo that he's
United
referring
States.
to. Like shit shouldn't be weird.
Man of impeccable
It should be
integrity,
regular.
Judge Merrick Garland,
Okay.
one of the
Yeah.
most respected jurists of our time. Brilliant yet humble.
Thanks for the follow, Clyde 25. Oh my god, Clyde.
Full of character.
I love you.
and decency. The Supreme Court clerk.
Really appreciate you coming around. Oh
served in
fuck.
the Justice Department during the Carter,
You distracted me
Bush
though. You almost got
41,
me
and
killed.
Clinton administrations. Where they embraced the department's core values of independence.
I'm really bad
and
at this, by the
integrity.
way, so don't.
Federal
I
prosecutors.
also hate the gun,
took
for
on
the record.
terrorism and corruption and violent crime. Always with the utmost professionalism and the duty.
Not this bad. Like, I'm bad, but I'm not this bad.
Nominated by President Clinton to be a judge on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, considered the second most powerful court in America.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Throughout such a long and distinguished career, Judge Garland has earned
just take my L on
praise
this
and
run.
admiration of members of bench and bar, and politicians of both parties. And despite his busy schedule and prestigious positions, he still makes time to volunteer regularly, tutoring students in Northeast D.C., as he's done for 20 years.
Aw.
It's about character.
Ooh.
It's about
What?
character.
Oh, 6 encounters, never mind.
It was no surprise why President Obama nominated him, Judge Garland,
What's
to the
that?
Supreme Court. As I said, he embodies honor, decency,
All right.
integrity, fidelity to the rule of law, and judicial independence. To those same traits,
This is Hades.
he will now bring as Attorney General of the
again,
United States.
Don't make fun of me because I'm playing terrible. This you get new weapons as you go. It's a roguelite, so you kind of go through, you die,
The rule of law.
and then after you die, you'll get like a couple permanent upgrades, and you'll get new weapons, and you'll kind of like try again. All right, I'm giving up on this run. I got a gun recently, but the gun is fucking horrible apparently. So
And I expect
Let's switch back to the old weapons.
the nominee will receive a prompt and fair hearing as well.
Also, my hands are sweaty, but
Deputy Attorney General, I
let's see. Let's go for the spear. Spear's fun.
I've worked with. One of the brightest I've worked with. I worked with her during
See,
the
like,
last
not
administration.
horrible. Let's give it a run.
15-year veteran of the Justice Department. Lisa
Can't see the game. No way.
Lisa knows the department
Hold on.
inside
One
and
sec.
out.
Thought you
She
could.
is a definition of what a public servant should be. Decent, trusted, honorable. And I might add, I embarrassed her a moment ago with the other colleagues, and selfless.
Third screen.
Offered her other
Bada bing,
positions.
bada boom. Question mark.
Greater consequence, quote unquote. More prestige. But she wanted to work with you, Judge.
All right, you give me.
She
Oh,
wanted to go back
wait.
to the Justice Department.
Is that a good thing?
A top flight prosecutor. who took
Wait, I
on
can see my mouse moving,
corporate
but I can't see my
fraud
guy
and violent
moving.
crime. Chief of Staff.
Okay, well, I'm happy you couldn't see how
Director of
bad I was
the
playing a
FBI.
minute ago, so that's good.
The first woman
see if I
ever
can
confirmed as Assistant Attorney General
Change
for
the
National
full screen or
Security,
something.
where she elevated cybersecurity
probably
to
the
top
problem.
priority, and where it's even more consequential today
Display.
than it was then.
Full screen?
At the White House, she was the top Homeland Security and counterterrorism advisor.
That didn't fix it at all.
Obama and me in every one of the national security meetings. She
Settings,
coordinated our fight against Al
display.
Qaeda and ISIL.
Borderless.
She helped lead
Huh?
our response to the Ebola crisis.
Still
The
no.
bombs went off
All right,
at the
hold on.
finish
I know what to
line
do.
on Patriots Day in Boston, her hometown.
I'm missing all of
She
Biden's
coordinated the
speech,
federal
Clyde.
government's response with local and state law enforcement to get to the bottom of this horrible tragedy. Lisa, I know you will help restore integrity and independence of the Department of Justice that you so revere. As
Break my
Associate
neck.
Attorney General, the number 3
Oh,
job at the
Did I do it?
department, I nominate Vanita Gupta,
what? That's so bizarre. I can see the mouse moving, but the game doesn't move.
one of the most respected civil rights lawyers in America.
All right, I'm gonna swap the monitor that it's on. Play it on my
Started her
PC
career
screen, or my
at
actual
the
normal monitor.
NAACP Legal Defense Fund,
Appreciate you sticking around though.
then on to the ACLU, both organizations to which I belong, and then to the Justice Department during the Obama-Biden administration, where she led the Civil Rights Division. At every step, with every case, she fought for greater equity and the right to right the wrongs of a justice
And
system.
also appreciate you
Where they
calling it out
existed.
because I would have had no idea.
And she's done so by bringing people together, earning praise from across the ideological spectrum for her approach to solving some of the thorniest problems we face. During the Obama-Biden administration, Vanita was put in charge of investigating the abuse of power in police departments in Ferguson, Missouri, and other communities torn
Over
apart
here.
by acts of
X button
violence
doesn't
and
wanna work.
racial injustice.
All right, let's try a different X
She
button.
helped institute common sense police reforms to build greater equity, safety, and trust. She was commended for her work by both law enforcement and those advocating for changes in the criminal justice system. That's a rare achievement, and it speaks volumes about her capacity to unite people in common purpose, which is what this
Perfect.
is all about, uniting the American people. Born in Philadelphia, a proud daughter of immigrants from India. That sound familiar? If
Is that
confirmed,
a racism?
Vanita will be the first woman of color to serve as Associate Attorney General. And I'm grateful that
What
Vanita
on
is leaving
earth?
her current job, leading one of the
All
premier
right, we're
civil
gonna
rights
keep this.
organizations in the
Oh,
world,
sure.
as she answers the call to serve once again to ensure that our justice system is even more fair and more equitable. Thank you. For Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, I nominate Kristen Clark, who has spent her career advocating for greater equality and equity in our justice system. The daughter of Jamaican immigrants. Now, don't think this has been designed here. I'm still looking for an Irishman. All kidding aside, the daughter of Jamaican immigrants, Kristen
That was a good one, Biden. Got to give it to you.
Civil rights attorneys in America.
A nice meme.
Proud native of Brooklyn, New York, she began her career, her legal career,
Now it's
in the very
looking
same
good.
office she's now nominated to lead. Her previous tenure with the Justice Department saw her take
looking good.
on some of the most complex
so.
civil rights cases.
I thought so
voting
before
rights,
though too. So
redistricting challenges to prosecuting hate crimes and human trafficking.
I bet.
She's earned accolades throughout
You
her
made it.
career,
You moved the
including
camera back.
as the head of the Civil Rights Bureau for her home state of New York, where she's led the charge to end the school-to-prison pipeline and root out discrimination in housing and in law enforcement. She currently leads one of the nation's top civil rights organizations, where she promotes greater equity in voting rights, in our education system, in our housing system, in our justice system, and so much more. Now,
Hey Google, lights on.
turn full circle to pursue the vital work where her career began. The Civil Rights Division represents the moral center of the Department of Justice and the heart of that fundamental American ideal that we're all created equal and all deserve to be treated equally. I'm honored you've accepted the call to return to make real the promise for all Americans. To each of you, I thank you for your service, and to your families. And to the American people, this is a team that will restore your trust and faith in our institutions of democracy. I chaired the Judiciary Committee for many years. One of my goals in running in the first place, you may recall, I said when I saw those people coming out of the fields in Charlottesville, shouting hate, a young woman killed. And when asked, the president said there are good people on both sides.
Pretty cringe.
That's literally why I ran. There's no more important and heartfelt effort on my part.
Oh, I didn't buy the gun yet. Thank God. That's such a waste of keys. I'm so upset I bought that. Okay.
Our Justice Department.
Cool.
So
I
may
get to run
God
through
bless you
without that
all.
dumb bullshit. Let's go with
May
the arrow.
God
The arrow's always
protect
good.
Our troops,
If I remember how to use it.
those who are sworn to protect the
Right.
American people.
Okay.
Now I will
Right. Yeah.
turn it over to the team,
Go.
starting with the next Attorney of the United States, Attorney General of the United States,
This is the one.
Judge Merrick Garland. Thank you.
This is the one where I make it through all the way. I guarantee it. Me back.
I gotta hand it to you, Zach. You don't back down. You don't ever back down. What is this, like the 20th time that you've
Okay, so I think this is Merrick Garland, I'm guessing, coming up now.
Thank you,
Yeah.
President-elect
The
Biden.
new Attorney General. I don't know what the fuck Attorney Generals even do. Does anyone know what Attorney Generals actually do? Because I sure shit don't.
As the Attorney General of the United States, thanks always to my wife, children, sisters, late parents, without whose unstinting support I would not be standing here today. Thanks also to my grandparents, whose decision to undertake the difficult journey to America made all things possible for my family.
You have to cry.
If confirmed, I look forward to working with these wonderful DOJ veterans, Lisa Monaco,
His voice just
Vinay
crazy.
Gupta, and Kristen Clark. Entering the Department of Justice will be a kind of homecoming for me. My very first job after serving as a judicial law clerk was to work as a special assistant to then Attorney General Ben Civiletti. Ed Levy and Griffin Bell, the first attorneys general appointed after Watergate, had enunciated the
drunken
norms
Dutch.
that would ensure the department's adherence to the rule of law.
What the hell's
Attorney
going on
General
my phone?
Civiletti undertook to continue their work
Oh,
of
Lord.
crafting those norms
What in
into
God's
written
name?
policies. Those policies included guaranteeing the independence of the department from partisan influence in
There we
law
go.
enforcement investigations, regulating communications with the White House, establishing guidelines for FBI investigations, ensuring respect for the professionalism of DOJ's lawyers,
That hit.
and setting out principles
I
to
lost
guide
10, wait, 8
exercise
HP.
of prosecutorial discretion.
Lost 8 HP on the
Those
first turn.
policies
There's only one
became
guy.
part of the DNA of every career lawyer and agent. If confirmed,
I legitimately can't tell if he's about to cry or
Attorney
not.
General will be to reaffirm those policies as the principles upon which the department operates. As Ed Levy said at his own swearing in, nothing can more weaken the quality of life or more imperil the realization of the goals we all hold dear
There we go.
than our failure to make clear by words and deed that our law is not the instrument of partisan purpose. In the decades that followed
Lord.
my first tour of duty at the department, I returned again and again in different roles. As a career line assistant U.S. attorney, as a criminal division supervisor, and finally as a senior official in the office of the deputy attorney.
Boom time.
In the latter role, I worked with every component of the department on issues ranging from civil rights and to domestic terrorism and national security.
Yeah, no shit.
I also worked directly with line prosecutors and agents in offices from Oklahoma City to Billings, Montana,
Bust that boon open.
Sacramento, California to New York City. Attorney General, later Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson famously said, "The citizen's safety lies in the prosecutor who tempers zeal with human kindness, who seeks truth and not victims, who serves the law and not factional purposes, and who approaches his job
Next deal more in
with
the week.
humility."
Cast
That
it
was
now.
the
Fucking
kind of
cast.
prosecutor I
Resistant
tried to
damage.
be during my
Resistant
years of
damage.
service at DOJ. In 1997, I left
10%
the
more
department
HP.
to serve
Pretty
the
bad,
cause of
actually.
justice in
Mathematically,
another
pretty
role.
bad.
As a judge, I have loved being a judge. But to serve as Attorney General at this critical time, to lead the more than 113,000 dedicated men and women who work at the department to ensure the rule of law is a calling
Oh, is that what they do?
I'm honored and eager to answer. As everyone who watched yesterday's events in Washington now understands, if they did not understand before, the rule of law is not just some lawyer's turn of phrase. It is the very foundation of our democracy. The essence of the rule of law
That's long. Oh,
is
yeah,
that
probably
like
grab this first.
cases are treated alike. That there not be one rule for Democrats,
Never feel
another
worth.
for Republicans, one rule for friends, another for
that, not doing
foes, one rule for the powerful,
Upgrade my boon.
another for the powerless, one rule for the rich, and another for the poor, or different rules depending upon one's race or ethnicity. And the essence of
Wild
its
that this shit even needs to be said. Come on now,
justice
y'all.
under law is
Come on, y'all,
that
government.
all citizens are protected in the exercise of their civil
Unless
rights.
they're legal.
Those ideals have animated the Department of Justice since the very moment of its inception. As President-elect Biden just recounted, the department was founded in the midst of Reconstruction following the Civil War, with its first principal task to ensure compliance with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments.
Fill me up, daddy.
As historian Ron Chernow wrote, quote, "The new Justice Department would forge its identity in the battle to slay the first incarnation of the Ku Klux Klan
More
and
boons.
its offshoots. In that battle, the department successfully deployed its considerable
All these fucking
resources
guys.
to ensure civil rights, which were under militant attack.
Oh lord.
These principles
I feel like my power-ups have not been very good so far. I hope this
and
next one's
making
really
the
good.
promise
Oh
of
lord.
equal justice under law real.
What is the fucking radius on that?
Principles upon which the Department of Justice was founded,
Okay, if I can kill one,
must
then
always
he'll stop
stand.
attacking me. So
They
there's
echo
that.
today in the priorities that lie before us, from ensuring racial equity in our justice system,
Oh lord.
meeting the evolving threat of violent extremism.
Isn't this supposed to fall on him?